Hey, this is Mike Slater, host of the podcast, Politics by Faith, filling in for the great Bill O'Reilly on this Thanksgiving Eve. It's Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022. You're listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening today in America. The average household paying more for heat this winter. The White House urges Americans to wear face masks. COVID causing a surge in alcoholism. And a new survey ranks the unhappiest places in the country. Also coming up, the message of the day. We're going to tell the story of the Pilgrims and the unfathomable suffering that they endured while on the Mayflower and when they landed here in America. It's an unbelievable story. We'll share that in just a few minutes. First, energy producers confirming households now paying more for heat this winter. Prices are up 54% compared to last year. What? The average family spends about $1,000 on fuel between October and March. The industry blaming the increase on Joe Biden's war on fossil fuels, of course. At least 15,000 full-time positions have left the energy sector since Inauguration Day. The cost of gasoline is up 50% compared to last January. And still, Western Pennsylvania voted for Joe Biden. The pandemic causing a spike in heavy drinking among Americans. According to the RAND Corporation, 69% of adult males experienced at least one alcohol-related problem in 2021 compared to 49% of women. Wow, 69%. Researchers blame all the booze on pandemic-related issues like depression, anxiety, lack of sleep, and loneliness. And the sale of cigarettes also up for the first time in 2 decades. Remember, as Thomas Sowell said, there's no such thing as solutions, only trade-offs. So we're going to shut down the country to save lives from COVID. Yeah. But what are the trade-offs to that? The White House urging Americans to bring back the face mask. The Department of Health and Human Services releasing a statement as cases rise in some states. Quote, the lifting of mask mandates and indifferent attitude towards masking. I'm not indifferent about it. Towards masking and social distancing, typical in many public and private places, further isolates people with long COVID. And this is a weird sentence. We encourage or mandate policies and protocols regarding masking and social distancing in public places. LA County is going to jump on that and probably mandate masks, which is insane. It's 2022. A study from Business Insider listing the unhappiest places in America. Most are located in California and New Jersey. Towns are ranked by crime, addiction rates, income, and life expectancy. The worst spots include Compton, San Bernardino, Camden, Newark, and Trenton. Unbelievable. California, New Jersey. The happiest cities in 2023, Scottsdale, Arizona, Honolulu, Plano, Texas, and number 1, Tampa, in the great state of free Florida. The message of the day about the Pilgrims. Next.
Do you have a mystery smell in your home you can't get rid of? I have the solution. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. It uses oxy technology that destroys every odor there is. If you don't know where the smell is coming from, the thunderstorm will get rid of it in minutes. The thunderstorm doesn't mask or cover up bad odors. It eliminates them. Best of all, no filters to buy. Right now, save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for the whole home. You'll get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your basement, bedroom, family room, kitchen, anywhere you need fresh, clean air. Please go to EdenPureDeals.com. Put in discount code BILL3 to get 3 units for under $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com. Discount code BILL3 to save $200. Shipping is free.
Hey, it's Mike Slater, host of the podcast Politics by Faith, filling in for the great Bill O'Reilly. Now it's time for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. This Thanksgiving, I am thankful for the Pilgrims. We don't talk about the Pilgrims enough. We don't talk about the suffering that the Pilgrims endured. So check this out. Mayflower, 1620, 102 passengers, 30 crew. I don't know what you're imagining this Mayflower boat looking like. I imagine this grand, epic ship. It was a tiny little bathtub, 25 feet wide, 100 feet long. Below the deck, it was a 5-foot ceiling, so you had to slouch when you walked. Not that there was anywhere to walk. So the deck was 1,500 square feet. So imagine a 1,500 square foot house with 132 people living in it. But don't worry, it was a short trip across the ocean. It only took 10 weeks. 10 weeks. So if you got on a boat on September 14th, you'd finally land today. And we complain about a delay at the airport. So the craziest thing for me is when they finally got here, they landed Massachusetts, right, in November. But it was so freezing cold, they had to stay in the boat. So they anchored off the coast and they stayed in the boat. Again, what's the longest you've had to taxi on an airplane? 30 minutes, maybe an hour? Imagine months on the boat. They didn't leave the boat. They didn't go on land till March 31st. 4 months on the boat. And that's where everyone died. 2 people died on the journey and 77 died just anchored out off the coast. Freezing cold, no food, no bathrooms, hopeless. And people dying all around you. Could you imagine? Absolute misery. So March comes around and finally, so this is 1621. There's out of the original 132, there's 53 left. But then it's not like they showed up to anything. There's nothing there. It's one thing if you have a harrowing flight and then you land and you take an Uber to the hotel and take a shower and sleep in a bed. These pilgrims got to America and there was nothing there. They had to cut down trees, make houses, grow food, start from scratch. Unbelievable suffering and misery the pilgrims went through. And we have completely forgotten that story. The only time I ever hear the pilgrims talked about it's like a kindergarten Thanksgiving play or something, and they dress up cute like pilgrims. But no one's really talking about the story of the pilgrims. How is William Bradford's diary, the governor of the Plymouth colony, how is his diary not required reading for every American? But they endured because these pilgrims believed themselves to be, as William Bradford said, the great hope for advancing the kingdom of Christ. Thanksgiving used to be a religious holiday. It used to be a day of fasting and prayer. And today it's the opposite. It's a day of gluttony and football. But look at the early presidential proclamations about Thanksgiving. Look at John Adams, George Washington. It's all about prayer and humiliation and supplication and fasting. But even if you want to make it a secular holiday, we've lost that story. We've lost our story of the pilgrims. It's as if it never happened. We forgot why they came here. We've forgotten what they overcame to be here. And therefore, we've forgotten our gratitude to God for bringing them through so that we can be here today. This Thanksgiving, join me in being grateful for the pilgrims. More coming up next.
There is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers, rewrite American history, and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. The very freedoms secured by our Constitution are now being threatened by the most liberal leftists our nation has ever seen. They have failed to secure our borders, weakened our position on the global stage, are trying to indoctrinate and corrupt our children in school, and the list goes on and on. But there are plenty of patriots with the courage to stand up to the far left. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in the USA. I am a member, and I hope you will join as well. AMAC members have access to money-saving benefits, a robust website and mobile app, and a magazine filled with all kinds of great content. So please join AMAC today at amac.us and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's amac.us.
Hey, it's Mike Slater, host of the podcast Politics by Faith, filling in for Bill O'Reilly. Now it's time for something you might not know. So we've heard the Thanksgiving story before, of course. The Indians helped the natives grow food, and they kumbaya, and they had a huge feast and gave thanks and all the rest. That's the story. There's a ton more to that story, of course. But what's fascinating is there's no record of anyone in that first Thanksgiving ever using the word Thanksgiving. The first time we have a record of the governor of the Plymouth colony, William Bradford, using the word Thanksgiving was 2 years later in 1623. But what happened 2 years later? What happened in 1623 that caused them to be so grateful 2 years after the first Thanksgiving? There was a terrible drought, months long, May, June, and July, with no rain. See, we have this illusion in our modern culture of control. Because when it doesn't rain, it's okay. We can collect the rain and we have irrigation systems and our crops can still grow and we can still have food and we can still live. But the Pilgrims didn't have any of that. They were totally at the mercy of the weather. So there was a terrible drought and all their crops were dying. They've only been there for like a year and a half. And they planted the crops with the fish, just like the Indians told them to do, the whole thing. But it wasn't working. There's no rain. It needed to rain. So this is what William Bradford wrote in the history that he wrote 10 years after the Plymouth colony. He said, upon which we set apart a solemn day of humiliation. That just means to make yourself humble. To seek the Lord by humble and fervent prayer in our great distress. So what happened then? Toward evening it began to overcast, and shortly after to rain with such sweet and gentle showers as to give us cause of rejoicing and blessing God. It came without either wind or thunder or any violence, and it revived and quickened the corn and other fruits, and was wonderful to see. They prayed for rain, but they couldn't control the rain. They needed to pray for it, and God provided. That's the first time William Bradford used the word Thanksgiving. It was for rain. Our pilgrims endured through so much suffering. I know that if we learned more of their story, there'd be so much less whining, complaining, and victimhood today, and a lot more gratitude. More coming up.
Inflation at its highest level in 40 years and interest rates are skyrocketing, as you know. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, predicting recession. So to protect your future, do what I did. Call the only precious metal dealers I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. You can get started with a short phone call. They will place physical gold and silver right at your door or inside your IRA or 401k. They are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Please tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Don't wait. You can call them now. 877-444-GOLD. 877-444-GOLD. Or text GOLD to 65532. Again, 877-444-GOLD or text GOLD to 65532.
What an honor to fill in for Bill O'Reilly. Bill, thank you for letting me do it again. If you've enjoyed this, please download our podcast, Politics by Faith.